Hi, best of your listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the Syndication School Series, a free resource focused on the how-tos of apartment syndication. As always, I am your host, Theo Hicks. Each week, every Wednesday and Thursday, we release Syndication School Series on the Best Real Estate Investing Advice Ever Show podcast. They are also available in video form on our YouTube channel as well. Each of these series focus on a specific aspect of the apartment syndication investment strategy. And for the majority of the series, we offer some sort of resource for you to download for free, whether it be a PDF file, PowerPoint presentation template, Excel calculator, something for you to download for free to help you in your syndication journeys. This episode is going to be a standalone episode entitled 5 Ways to Raise Money with a 506C Offering. These tips come from a syndicator who raises money for development deals, and he focuses on the 506C offering type as opposed to the 506B. A quick rundown of those differences. We do have a syndication school series that focuses on that, which you can find at syndicationschool.com, searching 506B, 506C. But the main difference between the two is that with the 506B offering, the money raiser, the sponsor, the GP must have a pre-existing relationship with the passive investors. Whereas for the 506C, you can raise money from strangers and advertising for your deals are allowed. So this episode is going to be 5 ways to essentially advertise for money from investors. So again, this comes from a developer. His name is Mark. And he actually developed over $1 billion worth of deals before he started transitioning to raising money for his deals. So these are the 5 ways to raise money with the 506C. And before I go any further, keep in mind, obviously, we're not attorneys. So when you are raising money with 506B or 506C or raising money for some other offering type, make sure you consult with a securities attorney to make sure you are following all of the proper laws. So number 1 is crowdfunding. So the first way Mark uses to obtain new investors is through crowdfunding. And he says, for every deal we do a portion of it crowdfunded, which is really nothing more than just advertising online through one of these third-party platforms for new investors. So you likely know what a crowdfunding platform is. If you want to learn more about crowdfunding, we actually have a crash course available on our website. It's episode 152, so one of the earlier episodes, entitled Every Single Question to Every Single Crowdfunding Question You Have. It's a 4-part podcast. I believe it's 4 parts. And it's Joe interviewing the people over at Patch of Land, the crowdfunding site. So essentially what you do is you put your deal on a crowdfunding site. So Mark doesn't have a particular crowdfunding site that he thinks is best. At the time he used CrowdStreet. There's also Patch of Land. If you use Google real estate crowdfunding, you should be able to find one, and go on their website to find the procedure for posting your deal on their website to generate money. Mark said that the benefit of crowdfunding is that he can find investors that he would not have been able to find otherwise. He says, these are people that I would otherwise have never met in my life that are interested in investing with us, and some of them have already invested with us. It's a great opportunity to grow your network of individuals that either might be interested or are definitely interested in investing. So since it's online, he can get his deals in front of people all across the United States, people that he might not have found through one of these other 4 tactics I'm going to go over today. So the crowdfunding for Mark is basically filling in the gaps. And just making sure that his deal gets in front of as many people as possible. So that's number 1, putting the deal up on a crowdfunding site. Number 2 is Facebook. So for a recent project at the time we interviewed Mark, it was the first time he opened up his deal to Facebook. He said he was going to try out Facebook because he, quote, we've heard in the past a lot of great reviews from friends about how they acquired investors that way because you can be super targeted. We know very clearly that 90% of our investors are 40 years and older, live all over the country, but mainly in population centers of 100,000 or more. So Facebook advertising allows you to hyper target a specific audience. So Mark knows his passive investor demographic, in this case, 40-year-olds who live in population centers of over 100,000 people. So when he creates Facebook advertising, he types in, 40 years old, age, location, population over 100,000. Other factors to target would be educational attainment, so people have a college degree, and then people who are working professionals, so doctors, lawyers, executives, and small business owners are also their criteria. So Facebook advertising in general can be a great way to generate leads no matter what you're doing, but when you're allowed to raise capital for your deals, you can explicitly use the Facebook advertising function. So you don't have to be subtle about it. You don't have to go about, for 506B investors, the way that they would use Facebook is just creating content and displaying their expertise, answering questions passive investors have with the goal of directing them and pushing them up their funnel into capturing their contact information and then talking to them, building a relationship with them, and then raising money that way. Where for 506C, you can forego all of that and just go straight to, hey, here's a deal that we have. Do you want to invest? And you don't have to worry about not advertising and kind of being subtle about it. So that's number 2, Facebook advertising. Obviously, for the Facebook advertising, there's a dollar amount associated with that, pay per click or other charges. So make sure you take that into account if you are going to use Facebook advertising. Number 3, and this is kind of unexpected, but the way that Mark explains it definitely makes sense, is that they advertise their deals in newspapers. So Mark puts up advertisements in local newspapers. You guys know what newspapers are, right? So Mark says, we are also trying old school newspaper advertising because our investor base tends to be a bit older. In some cases, we have investors 70, 80, 90 years old, and newspaper still happens to be a very, very relevant source for those people. So in this case, it's Mark thinking about what his target demographic uses. So as he mentioned before, the average age is about 40, but he does have investors who are 70, 80, 90 plus years old. And those people are likely not using the internet. Obviously, they're on the internet, but they probably still like their tangible newspapers and magazines and maybe even TV to get their information. So just focusing on crowdfunding and just focusing on Facebook is going to you're going to miss out on some opportunities because of the demographic that isn't on Facebook or isn't on crowdfunding websites who don't know how to use those websites. So Mark got around that by putting his deals in newspapers. So for a recent deal they took out ads in North and South Carolina for a deal that was in South Carolina. And he says, I've taken ads out in markets that are very close to these areas. Charlotte's an hour away. Greenville's about 45 minutes away. Charleston, those types of things, because people tend to like investing locally, even though long-term I think that's a bad strategy. It's a great gateway if they can drive by the property and see it. So Mark's saying is that from his perspective, only focusing on deals locally isn't the best strategy if you want to grow your capital, but that's how people tend to think. They want to invest in something that they can actually go drive by and see. Again, so he's advertising these newspapers because these people like their like to read their news tangible. They like a tangible thing to read their news. Similarly, they want to actually see the property. They're maybe not okay with investing in a deal all the way across the country, at least not right off the bat. Maybe they could be convinced to do so based off of the returns, and you explaining to them the ways you mitigate risk of investing out of state. But to find these first-time investors through the newspapers, they are more likely going to invest in the local area. So if you've got a deal, in this case in South Carolina, then you're going to want to focus your newspaper ads in North and South Carolina rather than taking out an ad in California to get the most bang for your buck. So that's number 3, the newspapers. Number 4 are webinars. So in addition to crowdfunding, Facebook, and these newspaper ads, the fourth thing that Mark does to generate money from passive investors using this 506C offering is to host webinars. So in adherence to the be everywhere, kind of blanket or carpet bomb marketing strategy, you want to advertise on as many platforms and have as much marketing as possible. that obviously makes sense from a cost standpoint. So Mark says that the webinar was helpful because we get one-on-one questions. We get a bunch of people and interest built around that specific concept of hosting webinar, and you can record it and then send it out to others. So it gives you sort of a platform and another contact point to reach out to investors. So as you know, we've talked about the new investment offering conference call that you want to host if you're doing the 506B or 506C, right? So you got a new deal, you create your investment summary, and then you present the deal, and you kind of go over the highlights of the investment summary in this new investment offering conference call, which, of course, is a Syndication School series episode. Both of those, creating the investment summary and the how to make a new investment offering call. That'll be at syndicationschool.com. And in fact, for the investment summary, we provide you with a free PowerPoint presentation to use as a guide to creating your own. The conference call, obviously, is just audio. The webinar is going to be audio and video. And what he's saying is that he's creating these educational webinars directed at passive investors to get people who are interested in passive investing to come into the webinar. So, for example, maybe he is advertising on Facebook or newspapers, and then once he gets a lead from there, he directs them to a webinar, either a live webinar or a recorded webinar, and then from there they get a little bit more comfortable. They know a little bit more about the deal, about the business plan, about the team, and they end up investing in one of the deals, which is why it's important to do this in combination with the other three methods. So the crowdfunding, the Facebook, and the newspaper ads are generating leads, and then you're pushing the leads to your webinars so that they are more comfortable investing in your deals. Lastly, number 5, and this really holds true for raising money using any offering type, and that is referrals. So Mark's final strategy is the good old-fashioned referrals. He says that the referral is probably, in everyone's experience, why you start with your friends and family, because they know you. If you perform for them, they will refer you to their friends and family, and so on and so on. That's typically been the best source for us overall. So you can do referrals for 506B. I'm just making sure, again, that you have to create a relationship with that individual before you bring them on as an investor. Whereas for 506C, all you need to do is get the referral, and you can automatically bring them on as an investor. So someone comes to you through a newspaper ad, for example, they invest in one of your deals, you hit all your return projections, they're happy, they tell their brother, their sister, their best friend about you, and they reach out to you and say, hey, I want to invest. You can take their money right away. You don't have to worry about building a relationship with them. So referrals, obviously, great way to kind of have that snowball effect where you're bringing in all these leads from crowdfunding, from Facebook, from newspapers. You're pushing those leads to your webinars. They invest in your deals, and then those people, rather than you having to find more people through the previous 4 methods, they just refer their friends, their colleagues to you. They invest in your deals, and then they refer people, and so on and so on. So the referrals are obviously something that you always want to focus on and think of ways to generate referrals. So Mark says that when he's finding investors through referrals, the most effective method that he's found to generate these referrals is through social proof. So Mark says that what I'll try to do is people that do know each other or people that don't know each other, some of the family offices that didn't know each other, I introduced them to each other. Now they know each other, so when I say XYZ family office is investing, don't you guys want to invest as well? They go, oh yeah, of course. If they're invested, we'll do it too. So there's a little bit of trying to get people in the same room or same social network of some sort, even if it's just because I introduce them. So that there's that social proof aspect where people feel obligated or inclined to invest because of someone else, which is why the referrals are so important, because they're already getting the proof of concept, the social proof from their friend. So Bob invests in Mark Deal. Bob likes Mark's deals. Bob likes the returns he's getting. Bob tells Bill, hey, you should come invest in these deals. I'm doing it. Bill says, oh, wow, if you're doing it, like I trust your judgment, so I'm definitely going to invest in these deals. On a larger scale, what Mark is saying is that if he has a family office investing in one of his deals and he wants another family office to invest in the deal, rather than going to them directly and maybe sending them a webinar or just sending them a sample deal, explaining them the ins and outs of the deal, explaining their business plan, explaining their team, instead, he just gets the family office that's already investing in his deal to meet with his other family office so that he has a social hit so that he can provide social proof to that other family office. So if this one family office is investing, they're getting the returns that they want. Well, then why wouldn't XYZ family office also invest in that deal, because it's working perfectly fine for this other family office. So those are the 5 methods for raising money and generating private capital using the 506c offering. Again, 506c, allowed to advertise. 506b, not allowed to advertise. So if you are doing 506b, then you can't use these strategies specifically, but you can still use referrals. You can still use webinars. You can still use Facebook, newspapers. You could probably figure out a way to do that. And then crowdfunding probably won't work because you can't explicitly advertise for your deals. But these do work for 506c because you are allowed to advertise. Again, if you want to use newspapers, Facebook, crowdfunding, webinars, referrals, whether 506b or 506c, make sure you run by your marketing strategy. Make sure you run your marketing strategy by your securities attorney first before you implement any type of strategy or marketing plan. All right, that concludes this episode. Again, it's 5 creative ways to raise money with a 506c offering. Until next time, make sure you check out some of the other syndication school series about the how-tos of property syndication. I mentioned a lot in this episode, so you could start with those, or you can start from series number 1 and work your way through. I think this is series number 30 or 31, so we've got a lot of them that you can listen to. And for most of those, there are also some free resources for you to download. All of those episodes and free resources are available at syndicationschool.com. Thanks for listening. Have the best of your day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.